Hi guys, and welcome to part 2 of our sweet corn grow along. So the last time we looked at these was in mid-April when we sowed them, and this is what they are looking like now. And you might remember that I sowed mine into soil blocks, and I've had to move them into trays. They weren't very happy in the soil blocks, and I'm pretty sure that's because I changed an element of the mix and they were just looking very yellow and undernourished, so I have popped them with a bit of extra compost and they're doing really well now. So hopefully yours are looking a similar sort of size, and I guess these are sort of 6 to 8 inches each. They've got a pretty good root system on them, so I'm quite happy with them and they are ready to be starting to go out. You may remember that these were going in after my first early potatoes and they are ready to be lifted now. If however you are finding that either anything that you put in before, particularly potatoes and things like that, are growing quite slowly and you want to give these a little bit more time in the pots and allow whatever it is that you've had in before to mature, then the next thing to do would be to pot them up. I would be looking to pop them up into larger pots around this sort of size, so it would give it about double the space. They do grow quite quickly once we put them in the ground, so giving them plenty of space would give you quite a few weeks to continue growing them without any issues of them being hungry. So to harden these off, what we're going to do is remove them from the protection that they've had and start getting them used to the elements outside. Any plants that we grow inside are a much more pampered plant, and popping them out can give them a real shock without hardening them off first. So the first thing we're going to do is start popping them out into a sheltered position for a couple of hours, and then increase that to a less sheltered position and for more hours. And for me, these have been in the polytunnel, so they've had plenty of light, so I'm expecting to do this in around 3 days. So they'll go out for a few hours in full sunlight but in a sheltered position, and then they're going to go out the next day for pretty much the whole day, and then the next day they're going to go out overnight. If the nighttime temperatures do go below sort of 8 degrees, 6 degrees, somewhere like that, then I will be bringing these back into the tunnel for a night. They are not hardy plants and they're not going to appreciate being put out if it's too cold. As far as I'm aware, most parts of the UK are starting to get a more consistent nighttime temperature and not dipping as much as we were, so hopefully that's not a problem. But if it is, just pop them on and keep them protected until you've got a nighttime temperature of at least 6, but ideally 8, before we're going to look at planting these out. If your plants have been grown in a much more controlled environment, like within a house or your windows are in the house, then you will want to take that a little bit longer for hardening off than if they've been growing in a greenhouse or a polytunnel, just because they've got more to get used to and more changes to deal with. If it is very difficult for you to bring them in and out, then one thing you could do is try and purchase a large plastic box with a lid on it, so you can then pop them in the box, open the lid during the day and shut it during the night. Ideally we're obviously going to bring them back in, but for some people that's not always so easy, so actually doing it in a large storage box might be easier for you. And then we'll be looking at planting these out in a couple of days. There is more details about hardening off on a separate video as well, so if you'd like to know more about why we do it and how to do it, particularly if your plants are needing to be hardened off for a little bit longer, then do go and check that one out.